The President of Turkey and candidate of the People's Alliance, Recep Tayyip Erdoğan, won in the second round of the presidential elections with 99.32% of the ballots counted. The Turkish President obtained 51.91% of the votes. In Spain, regional and municipal elections are underway with at least 35 million citizens called to vote. And in Cuba, elections for provincial governors and vice governors were held throughout the country. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. In Turkey, following the presidential runoff held on Sunday, the candidate of the People's Alliance and current president of the country, Recep Tayyip Erdoğan, has been re-elected for a new term of office. So far, with 99.32% of the votes counted, according to official results, Recep Tayyip Erdoğan has won the presidential elections with 51.91% of the votes, while opposition candidate Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu has the 48.09% of the votes. The re-elected president celebrated his election victory by singing to the fans gathered in front of his house, dressing his supporters in front of his house in Istanbul before his departure to Ankara. Erdoğan sang the song "I Love," which he also used in his election campaign. Ahmet Yener, president of the Supreme Electoral Council, confirmed that 99.32% of the ballot boxes have been counted, and it has been seen that Mr. Recep Tayyip Erdoğan received 51.91 votes and Mr. Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu 48.09 votes in the country.
And the rest of the votes that are not counted yet will not affect the results, even if all those votes go to one candidate. As a result, according to the unofficial temporary results, Erdoğan has been re-elected as the president. Throughout the election process, first of all, we would like to thank our voters, and we also would like to thank the valuable members of the Supreme Election Council who worked impartially, and we also would like to thank the political party representatives and also our provincial organizations, the district election boards, and also the officers working in the ballot boxes. We also would like to thank our governorate and our police forces and the related ministries who made sure that the election process.
The President of Turkey and candidate of the People's Alliance, Recep Tayyip Erdoğan, announced that he won in the second round of the presidential elections. He did so in a speech to thousands of supporters in the city of Istanbul. The reactions were immediate after the official announcement that the current president won the re-election. His followers went out to the squares and streets of many Turkish cities, and even some media have spread messages of congratulations to the possible winner and have wished him success for his new mandate. Erdoğan thanked them and called the elections a celebration of democracy.
Once again, our nation has given us the authority to run the state for another 5 years, and I would like to thank every member of my nation.
İnşallah.
Hopefully, we will be worthy of your trust, as we have been for the last 21 years. What did I say before? We will be together not until Sunday, but till the graveyard.
Well, in Spain, municipal and autonomic elections take place normally in spite of adverse weather. Electoral authorities of the Ministry of the Interior informed that at 10 o'clock in the morning, local time, 99.4% of the polling stations all over Spain were normally constituted. To be precise, a total of 60,195 polling stations will be open until 8 p.m. local time. Around 35.5 million people are called to participate in these elections, which are seen as a test run for the legislative election scheduled in about 6 months. The main political figures have already voted. The first results are expected to be known at 9 o'clock in the evening, so that before midnight it is likely to have a fairly clear idea of the strength of the political groupings with a view to the national legislative elections. Spanish government, Pedro Sánchez exercised his right to vote in Madrid, becoming one of the first politicians to put his ballot. The leader of the executive encouraged citizens to go to the polls to vote in a positive way. Sánchez stressed the importance of the elections to seek solutions to problems of public health, education and housing policies for young people. In Cuba, the municipal assemblies of the People's Power elect on Sunday the 15 provincial governors of the country, a little less than a month after the beginning of the new parliamentary legislature. The extraordinary sessions of the municipal assemblies began at 9 a.m. local time, and each of the 15 provinces. The proposals of President Miguel Díaz-Canel were presented, established by Cuban electoral law. In Havana, the current Vice Governor Janet Hernandez was proposed to be the new governor, while in Santiago de Cuba, the second most important city in the country, the current Governor Beatriz Johnson Urrutia was proposed as governor and Manuel Falcón Hernandez as vice governor. To be eligible for the elections as governor or vice governor, the candidate must be born in Cuba, have no other citizenship, be at least 30 years of age, reside in the province he or she would represent, and be in full enjoyment of his or her civil and political rights. Let's now take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. All the stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. Carlos Minera, the Guatemalan candidate suspended for presidential elections, filed an appeal with the Court of Constitutionality, arguing the resolution that leaves him out of the process is obscure and contradictory. Eric Castillo, the candidate's lawyer, informed that he has submitted a request to the court for clarification and extension of the resolution based on Article 8 of the American Convention on Human Rights. He also reiterated that the rights to elect and be elected of Prosperidad Ciudadana's candidate have been violated. In addition to Carlos Pineda, the body has left out other 1,200 candidates, so this legal recourse could be decisive. In Venezuela, after 15 years without renewing authorities, the Central University, the highest educational institution in the country, suspended its elections. The elections were suspended after the university electoral body confirmed irregularities committed during the process. For the elections, there were invited active students and graduates, professors, brokers, and administrative staff, active and retired. Members of the USAPIS community denounced the management of the current rector, Cecilia Garcia Arocha, who they accuse of alleged acts of corruption. The University Council fixed for June 9th the repetition of the elections, where rector, vice-rectors, and deans of 11 faculties, among other authorities, will be elected. The voting is organized by university authorities themselves, without any participation of the national government or electoral authorities.
There's always an excuse, always this, not that the TSJ, that's enough. Tell the truth. They don't want to let go because they are stealing the money. They are stealing the money. They've got the poor teachers struggling. They've got the teachers scrapping. Teachers who give their lives to teach, to educate, to prepare the future of the country. They think we are fools, that we are not going to do anything because we are always very peaceful. But that's enough.
Authorities in Russia, Krasnodar province, said on Sunday that they foiled a drone attack on an oil refinery. According to official sources, the attack on the Ilsky refinery took place at 2 hours local time, and added that all the flying devices were shut down. Through a statement, provincial authorities confirmed that the event left no fatalities and also caused no damage to the infrastructure of the oil facility. The authorities added in the text that the smoke was quickly eliminated by the plant's on-call services. On South, the United States local media indicated the White House and the Republican Party U.S. debt ceiling negotiations show no sign that a deal could be reached by the end of the week. Previously, Treasury Department Secretary Janet Yellen warned Congress that the nation will run out of money before June 5th if they do not raise the debt limit. On Saturday, Republicans said they had not yet scheduled any in-person meetings with their White House counterparts although they added that they are in constant communication through calls and other electronic channels. If the debt ceiling is not raised from its current limit of $31.4 trillion, the country could suspend Social Security payments and the salaries of its federal employees, in addition to the negative effect in the global economy affecting prices and mortgage rates in other countries. United States House Speaker Kevin McCarthy reiterated he is confident that an agreement to raise the public debt ceiling will be reached before June 5th deadline.
You will feel that there's a change in Washington. Not just is this place open again, not just that you can read it, but the bill itself is much better. There's not runaway spending. There's actually doing things, repealing money that you've already spent from a rescission. It could be the largest rescission in the history of America. I mean, there are ideas in here that people have really talked about from common sense around the kitchen table that they might actually see happening.
Demonstrators from various organizations, including Extinction Rebellion, Black Lives Matter and Republic, marched in central London against the Public Order Bill, a new legislation designed to limit the right to protest in the UK. Demonstrators condemned and described the government's controversial laws on protest as draconian and authoritarian. Protesters gathered in Parliament Square say the bill would curb the right to peaceful protest. The Public Order Bill introduced new offences, including locking on a tactic used in recent years by some environmental protesters to fasten themselves to a protest point, going equipped to lock on and interfering with key national infrastructure.
We've got a rich tradition of non-violent direct action and protest in this country, and now, little by little, this is being chiselled away by pieces of legislation like the Public Order Act. It also gives arbitrary powers to the police. They say, oh, we've got these powers, but we might not use them. We probably won't use them. We'll only use them if we need to. But that makes it at the whim of the Commissioner or the Chief Inspector or the Home Secretary. They want people to stay home.
The government has taken on absolutely crazy restrictive new powers, making it almost impossible really to protest legally. If the police, they can stop almost any arrest and any protest, arrest people in advance and so on.
So the government is trying to stop people from protesting, stop us from speaking up against its wrongs. And it's dangerous because if you don't speak up, they'll continue to have even worse policies against the people.
teleSUR English continues to grow. You can now tune in from 33 different African countries through StarSat, Dial 461 and enjoy Latin American alternative broadcasts. One final short break and we'll be right back. Don't go away. Welcome back From the South. In Egypt, archaeologists have announced new discoveries at the Saqqara necropolis south of Cairo. The new discoveries include 2 human and animal involvement workshops as well as the tombs of 2 priests. According to Mustafa Waziri, head of Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities, the discoveries also include a tomb that belonged to Nehesutba, a priest who served in the 5th dynasty of the Old Kingdom 4,500 years ago. Recently, Egypt has unveiled a string of major archaeological discoveries which have been a key component of the country's attempts to revive its vital tourism industry. The government recently launched a strategy aiming for a rapid increase in inbound tourism at a rate of 25 to 30% a year. Tourism and Antiquities Minister Ahmed Issa said at the site on Saturday.
This is the first time we discover involvement workshops associated with the temples. All the previous involvement workshops were related to Apis in Memphis, and that means it is an important discovery to find them in Saqqara. We also found many statues representing the masterpieces of the art in the Old Kingdom, which date back 4,500 years, and we also discovered antiquities and pieces dating back 3,300 years that represent the New Kingdom, plus some jewelry and accessories. We also found cheese made by ancient Egyptians who used pottery jars to store it and put it behind the dead.
In his last address to the nation, outgoing Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari celebrates a peaceful transition of power to the new administration of President-elect Bola Tinubu, confident that he leaves office with his country in better shape after 2 terms in office.
We mark and celebrate another peaceful transition of power from one elected government to another in our steady march to improve and sustain Nigeria's democracy. As I retire home to Daura, Katsina State, I feel fulfilled that we have started the Nigerian rebirth by taking the initial critical steps, and I am convinced the incoming administration will quicken the pace of this work to see a Nigeria that fulfills its destiny to be a great nation.
In Sudan, the conflict between the armed forces and the rapid support forces has thrown the banking sector into chaos. Many Sudanese have been locked out of their savings as the 7-day ceasefire agreed last week approaches the end. Fighting between Sudanese Army Chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan and former Deputy Mohammed Hamdan Daglo, who commands the powerful paramilitary rapid support forces, has brought the country's financial system to a standstill. A large number of people have fled Khartoum to Madani due to the war, and all Western Union services were suspended for 21 days. Elsewhere, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has reaffirmed his full confidence in UN Special Envoy Volker Perthes after a request from General al-Burhan for him to be removed from the post. The Chinese region of Hong Kong announced new legislation that will allow retail investors to trade cryptocurrencies. The city has had a system of crypto trading platforms in place since 2019, available to investors with portfolios of at least $1 million. With the new legislation, retail investors will be able to operate with cryptocurrencies from June 1st. Authorities assure that the legislation protects investors and boosts the city's economy. Experts say that the new regulations could attract companies with favorable business conditions as well. Crypto assets are banned in China, however, due to the one country, two system policy. Hong Kong can enact its basic laws, including those related to cryptocurrencies.
Hong Kong government is now saying that everyone needs to ensure that these best practices are properly implemented before you get licensed, which I think is a good thing, because I think for a lot of investors, especially the retail one, whether they don't understand the difference between whether a platform is really safekeeping an asset, putting it in a safe place, or they just take the asset and gamble it elsewhere.
On Sunday, India's main opposition parties boycotted the inauguration of a new parliamentary building by the Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Opposition parties criticized the ceremony, claiming that the Prime Minister had bypassed President Draupadi Murmu, who has only ceremonial powers but is the head of state and the high constitutional authority. They also said that Modi's decision to inaugurate the building by himself was a grave insult to the country's democracy. Narendra Modi's government, for its part, argued that the renovation was necessary because the building was showing signs of deterioration and overuse, as well as assuring that the new design combines the country's heritage and traditions. We have come to the end of this news briefing. You can find these and many other stories on our website, telesurenglish.net. Also join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For Telesur English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.